When a tight-knit group of friends from Florida finished high school and left for college, the drama of high school followed them all the way there. And when one disappeared, police interrogated the rest of the pack to figure out what happened. What began as typical teenage antics spiraled into a deadly situation.
It's very like soap opera like. We don't like, me and Christian were very uncomfortable with all of it.
Oh, Chris and Erica are going out, and he kind of lost it a bit. He was like, what is this? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why they would do this to me. You get me?
So what is it that you're thinking now has happened to Christian? What do you think happened?
Okay, I don't mean to be the pessimist, but
No.
I think Christian's dead.
Where do you think Christian is right now?
See, I just really hope he's lost. I'm gonna be really mad at him if he is lost, but I just really hope he is lost.
Seems like a long time to be lost, don't you think?
Yeah.
You gotta tell the truth.
Will I still be able to go home with my parents tonight if I...
Before we begin, we would like to extend our deepest sympathies to the family and loved ones of the victim in this case, Christian Aguilar. High school drama is legendary. The backbiting and mind games played during these final years before adulthood are so common that it has inspired countless scenes in TV shows and movies. But what happens in real life when the drama doesn't end with high school? For the Florida teenagers involved in this case, it had irreversible consequences. It was June 2012 when the 12th graders at Doral Academy were preparing to graduate just like so many other students across America. But the end of high school also triggered a tragedy that marred what should have been a carefree and exciting time in their lives. As graduation drew near, some of the college-bound teenagers began to reassess their romantic entanglements. The official end of high school can be a prime time to break up and find a fresh start. For two couples in the group, graduation would mark the unceremonious end of their relationships, and that would be life-altering. Among those moving on were Christian Aguilar and his girlfriend, Alyssa. For 8 months, they had been boyfriend and girlfriend. Christian was heading to the University of Florida in Gainesville. He aspired to become a biomedical engineer so he could help people rehabilitate from injuries and trauma to improve their quality of life. Alyssa was going to Florida State University in Tallahassee. At first, when Alyssa spoke to detectives looking into Christian's murder, she characterized their breakup as mutual. She said it was a choice that she and Christian made together to avoid the complications of a long-distance relationship. But when police pointed out that her actions didn't match her words, Alyssa admitted the split wasn't quite as mutual as she had initially presented, and her lingering resentment towards Christian would play a role in the events to come. While Alyssa harbored hurt feelings, her displeasure paled in comparison to the situation brewing with the other couple from their friend group who broke up about the same time. Pedro Bravo and Erica Freeman had been together for nearly 3 years. For several months before their relationship officially ended, Erica grew dissatisfied with Pedro. She felt ignored, that Pedro cared more about being with his friends than her. That assumption turned out to be dead wrong. Erica talked to a campus cop at the University of Florida about what had caused her breakup with Pedro.
I started seeing problems in December of last year of 2011. It was simple things, but they were kept adding up, and I kept making up excuses for him, and I didn't like the fact that I had to keep making up excuses that, oh no, it's not his fault.
Pedro's intense reaction to the breakup took Erica by surprise. He was crushed and sobbed inconsolably. Erica had initially been drawn to Pedro because he was funny and sarcastic, the class clown. But after she ended their relationship, his demeanor turned dark and self-destructive. The intoxication of first love had turned into toxic poison as Pedro vowed to win Erica back at any cost. 18-year-old Pedro was an artist who drew and wrote often in his sketchbooks. That was his creative outlet. So when the relationship with Erica disintegrated, he filled the pages with his lovesick musings and elaborate plans to win her back. He wrote notes on how and when he would communicate with Erica and what he would say, obsessively dwelling on every detail. He thought these demonstrations of devotion would show Erica how much he cared. Although Pedro earned a scholarship to Florida International University and originally planned to go there, that wasn't as important to him as getting back together with Erica. Right before school started, he abruptly decided to move to Gainesville, where he enrolled in Santa Fe College, the same school Erica was attending, but he didn't tell her about it.
As you probably know by now, he only moved up here because of Erica. He decided to move here 2 days before classes started because he was visiting, and he's like, hey, Erica lives here, I might as well stay to see if she'll take me back.
That was his intention, so he wanted to be back in a relationship with Erica. Okay.
So I guess that didn't work out the way he planned.
Okay.
She told him that the only reason, she didn't just break up with him because she was moving here. She also broke up with him because they weren't doing well.
Okay.
And
now, how do you know that? Is that something you have observed or that you witnessed in terms of their conflicts, or is this just what?
Okay, Rosa is pretty inside and all the knowledge. She really knows Erica well. She really knows Pedro well.
Okay.
She really knows some of the people they were talking to well. So, if anybody knows, the person who knows the most about all this drama, the relationship drama and all that, it's Rosa.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, she knows the most. So, what I heard about the relationship, I heard from Rosa.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but Pedro mentioned to you firsthand that he was still interested in Erica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would talk about her all the time.
Pedro was so despondent that he repeatedly threatened to take his friends vacillated between being worried about him and feeling like he was using the threats to manipulate them. Pedro's close friend, Rosa Philibert, talked to police about how his state of mind deteriorated after Erica broke up with him. At one point, his friends took away a box cutter because he had threatened to cut him. They then returned it a week later when he seemed mentally stable once again.
But he seemed completely normal in my opinion.
So you think this whole thing with Erica is what freaked him out?
I do.
Okay.
You ever know anybody that broke up a relationship after 2 or 3 years? Such as Pedro and Erica?
Not
How
really.
they acted or anything?
Not really, no. But they were kind of like in our school, our grade at least, our class kind of saw them as oh, they're the perfect couple, kind of. So, I get it.
Pedro's grand gesture to travel 300 miles for this one girl, as he phrased it, didn't make an impact on Erica as he had hoped. In the month since she and Christian had arrived in Gainesville, they had been spending a lot of time together and soon realized they had a crush on each other. Their friendship turned quickly from platonic to romantic. While their new friends in Gainesville were aware that they were a couple, they decided to conceal their budding relationship from their old high school crew.
Were you telling other people about this, or were you hiding that?
No, we were keeping it quiet. We were trying to just trying to keep it between us. We didn't have a problem saying it. We would walk around campus holding hands and stuff. We didn't have a problem with it. And we knew people in Miami would not be comfortable with the idea of us dating because, again, I had just broken up with Pedro.
Erica and Christian didn't want to push Pedro over the edge. They hoped keeping their relationship a secret would curb any fallout drama from their circle of friends. But they didn't count on Christian's ex-girlfriend finding out the truth.
How'd you find out that Christian was dating Eric?
Well, I did have an idea because Christian would log in a lot of the times into his Facebook account here and his email account. So my internet browser, Google Chrome, a lot of the times it saves these passwords. So sometimes when I would log out, it would log into his account, but I didn't because I didn't look at the email, but it would log into his Facebook. And so I just saw something that let me know that they were dating.
Okay. So you saw something in Christian's account?
Right, in Christian's account.
Which account? His Facebook or
Well,
his...
I actually saw it, I believe through his email. I saw that he was on, they were dating for sure.
Okay. What did you see that...
Just pictures of them, together. They looked very close, and just the titles that she would use to send him emails just kind of let me know that they were dating.
How many times did you go into his Facebook account or his email account?
Countless times.
Countless times?
Just a lot of times, yeah.
Did he know you were going in this county?
I think he had an idea, but he would never change his password, so I mean, I just kept on. I was trying to see whether it was actually real, like whether they were really dating, because I was concerned and I was kind of upset about it. So I would like go in and check.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If it was a mutual breakup and it was both of your ideas,
I mean,
why are you doing this?
Well, I did still care a lot about Christian. I mean, I didn't think that a long distance relationship would work, so I did want to like kind of end it, but I did still care a lot about him. And I guess it was sort of still romantic.
Okay. So, to the point where so you find out that your ex-boyfriend is dating Erica, and you let Pedro know that he's dating his ex-girlfriend.
Right.
And then Christian gets killed.
Well, I honestly did not think Christian would be in danger at all. I thought it was Pedro. That's why, well, I talked to Rosa as soon as I found out that Pedro was... First thing I did was tell Rosa, because I know she was close to him. I did not think Christian was in danger at all. I didn't think Pedro was such a violent person. I didn't know. Pedro in school was kind of to himself, kind of quiet, but when he did talk, he was very funny, and he was a nice guy. This was completely unexpected.
Okay.
To be honest, I really thought he was just gonna... I didn't think he was gonna go out and with someone else. Had I known that, I would have contacted Christian's parents.
Shortly after school started in Gainesville, Pedro was driving his Chevy Blazer past the University of Florida with some old friends from Miami, not including Christian, when he spotted Erica on foot. He stopped the car, leaving his buddies inside, and went to confront her about Christian. In a conversation that lasted about 2 hours, he showed her photos Alyssa had sent him of the two together and asked if they were a couple, but she insisted that they were just friends. Erica later told police that she lied because she knew Pedro's mental state was fragile and she didn't want him to harm himself. She couldn't have imagined that his violence would ultimately turn outward rather than inward. Erica's subterfuge wasn't successful. Pedro didn't believe her. Alyssa had given him undeniable evidence. In his mind, Christian was the main obstacle standing in the way of him and Erica getting back together, and he began to plot his next move. To put his plan into action, Pedro decided to set up a meeting with Christian, ostensibly to clear the air. But even the simple act of setting up the meeting had a tone of high school drama attached to it. Pedro put his friend Rosa in the middle as the mediator.
There was I guess, some kind of conversation between you and Christian.
Yes.
Text messaging.
Well,
And maybe even on the phone.
Yeah.
But can you tell me about all that?
Okay. It started on the phone. It was Tuesday night, and he called me.
Which Tuesday night?
Tuesday before Thursday.
Before he went missing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously before Thursday. And he called me and he was like, "Oh, Pedro's phone fell in a puddle of water. Can you get into can you get in touch with him? I don't know if you have friends that he's with or something, or maybe he's with you. Can you get in contact with him and tell him I can't meet him tonight?" And they were gonna meet on Tuesday night.
Who arranged that meeting?
I guess they did. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who arranged it, but he was like, "Oh no, my test. It was supposed to end earlier, but now it's gonna end at 10:45, and it's too late to see Pedro." And I was like, "Oh," like I kind of teased him about it. I was like, "Are you scared?" And he's like, "Yeah. I mean, this has to do with Erica. I am scared." And I was like, "Okay, I'll let Pedro know." And then I didn't text Pedro because I thought his phone had fallen in a puddle of water. Because Christian just told me his phone fell in a puddle of water. So I didn't text him, I Facebook messaged him. I was like, "Hey, are you on?" And he didn't reply till like 2 hours later. He's like, "Yeah, what happened?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just going to tell you that Chris can't meet today." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I just came from the place where we were supposed to meet, and I was waiting for him." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then Wednesday, they were kind of texting through me because Pedro didn't want to text Chris. And Chris didn't want to, Chris thought that Pedro's phone was falling out of water, and Pedro didn't really want to text with him directly, so they texted through me. And that ended up, it was where do we meet up, whatever. It ended up being, let's meet up Thursday at the Hub at 2 o'clock.
Pedro and Christian met on Thursday, September the 20th at 2 p.m. at The Hub, a local hangout spot at the University of Florida campus. Security cameras also captured them going to Best Buy so Christian could buy a Kanye West CD. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary in their body language. Pedro must have realized he had to act as calm and non-threatening as possible to lull Christian into feeling safe with him so he could get him into his vehicle and execute his murder plan. Surveillance video would later reveal that after their trip to Best Buy, Pedro pulled his vehicle into a parking lot at Walmart, where it remained for almost 3 hours, from 4 p.m. till nearly 7 p.m. They said that Pedro drugged Christian with the laced drink to incapacitate him, then climbed into the back seat when he got drowsy. When police searched his Blazer, they found a Gatorade bottle containing traces of over-the-counter sleeping pills. They believe he then placed a tow strap over the seat, wrapped it around Christian's neck, and braced his knees against Christian's seat while he leaned back as hard as he could to cut off his airway. As the hours ticked by, Erica grew increasingly panicked that Christian wasn't responding to her texts and calls. It wasn't like him not to respond. Finally, she called Pedro around 3 in the morning to ask him if he knew where Christian was. He said he didn't. Erica and Pedro went to the police station together to report him missing. Pedro told police he had returned home around 8 p.m. the previous evening and didn't leave his apartment all night, but police found a receipt for McDonald's showing that he bought food there several hours later around 1 a.m. When confronted with this information by a detective, he said he had forgotten that he went there. Police delved into Pedro's feelings about the breakup with Erica during the interviews.
So how do you feel about Christian and Erica dating?
I'm okay with him. I know he's a good guy, and I know she deserves the best, and I know he's one of the people that be the I don't know, not nicest. I don't want to be like really cliche, but like someone that would protect her heart, like someone that'd be like that.
Okay. What prompted the two of you to break it up?
Things weren't working out. She wasn't feeling happy, so we ended it.
And was that a mutual agreement?
Well, for me it wasn't at first, but then I realized that it was more my fault than hers. Like she wasn't happy, and I'm I understand. Like I wasn't putting enough forward, so I understand that you weren't happy, and like you're someone that deserves to be happy. So.
Christian's parents were frantic with worry. They reached out to Pedro in an effort to find out what he knew. Even though this was an extremely troubling time for them, Pedro still found a way to make the conversation all about him and his personal struggles.
You talked to Chris's dad this morning,
yes.
Right? What was that conversation about again?
How I'm like family to them, and how like don't talk like that, so don't talk like that right now.
So you talked to Chris's dad?
Yes.
About...
Yes. Because he knows what I'm going through. He knows I'm going through a rough time also. And he's like, don't talk like that right now.
As the campus police interviewed Pedro, their suspicions began to mount that he was involved in Christian's disappearance. As the tenor of the investigation shifted from a missing persons report to a possible murder, Gainesville police took over from the campus police and conducted their own interrogations of Pedro. As detectives interviewed Pedro, the narrative he gave kept changing. Early on, he made up an elaborate story about a hitchhiker that he and Christian had picked up from New York and described the man in meticulous detail. Then he claimed he had an argument with Christian about his thoughts, kicked him out of the car, and left him on the side of the road unharmed. Then he revised that story to say that he hit Christian in the face once while they were in the car. Finally, he claimed that he pulled over, beat Christian to a pulp outside of his vehicle, and left him there badly hurt but still alive.
Because he was a really good friend, and I messed up. Because everything was right. Like the moment. It was right there, and I took advantage of it. And I shouldn't have taken advantage of it.
No, you shouldn't.
But like I can't go back and change that. Like
No,
I hit him in
you
the face and I made him get out. And then
But there's a
And
little
they're
more to that, and I think that you need to be honest about it. You need to tell me what else happened, because something else happened besides just that. Okay, something else happened, and you need to be honest with it, because if that's all that happened, he would have went somewhere, called the police to get his phone and to get his stuff.
well,
We know that he's not coming back. Okay, I know he's not coming back. I've been doing this for too long. I've been doing this for 30 years. I know when somebody's coming back. When they ain't coming back, he ain't coming back. You know he's not coming back. No, you need to tell the truth. We can help you a little bit as far as if you can explain things, but just to find him in a couple of weeks and not be able to explain it, Pete, you got to tell the truth.
will I still be able to go home with my parents tonight if I?
I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you can go home tonight. Okay, you know it's something that we got to work on. Okay, I don't want his family to not be able to do what they need to do. Okay, I don't want him to turn into where they can't have a funeral.
I understand.
And I want you to help me.
I understand. I can. Do you have a map, Google Map, by any chance? I can show you. I can show you where, like.
What area?
Where I went to. I stopped the car. I got out, and then I started a small fight with him.
Okay.
And then I left.
What area? I mean, what part of this?
Same. I've been explaining this
The
the
same
entire
one?
day. Same place.
Okay, so right over by Stripes, by Home Depot, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm explaining it. Like I got into a small. It wasn't just me pushing him out of the car. It was like pushed him out of the car. Then, I got into an area. I pushed him out of the car. Then I got out of the car. Then I kept punching him, and I didn't like continue punching. It wasn't just savage. It was enough so I can see that he was okay, but he was not gonna get up for any time soon, sort of thing. And then I got in my car and left. And at that point, I made it over there and I turned off his phone, and there was a little part of me that was regretting it the entire way through.
I'm sure you were regretting it the whole time. I mean, this was your friend, but he pissed you off, and he's done some things to you over a period of time
I really hope he's okay, because I when I left the scene, it was me I was just there and I was wailing on him, and I kept going until he I could see that he was okay, but he couldn't move anymore.
Yeah.
And then I drove away.
Okay. Why don't me and you and somebody take a ride? Let's go see if he's still there.
Okay.
Okay. You're gonna be honest.
Yes.
Show me exactly where you left
Yes,
him.
exactly where he was.
I don't want his family not to be able to bury him.
I understand. I just really
Did
hope-
you
I
did
really
you hit him with anything else besides your
No.
fists?
No, it was just me.
He's not
I
showing
had
right
a
stand.
hammer. I had a hammer in the car, but I wasn't gonna use that.
Okay, let's hang here just a minute. Do you have to go to the bathroom or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, just hang tight just a minute. Let me run to the restroom and tell them what we're doing.
Okay.
There is no evidence to support any of the versions of events that Pedro presented to the police. And it's a mystery why he would tell such an unflattering story about badly beating Christian when there was no evidence to indicate that it actually happened. Perhaps on some level he wished he had stood up to his friend and engaged in a fair fight rather than being a coward who drugged him so that he couldn't defend himself. Pedro even took his lies as far as to accompany Detective Roberts on a wild goose chase. They drove around Gainesville together, supposedly in search of the spot where he left Christian. Detective Roberts had an audio recorder running the whole time.
The main purpose of this is for you to show that it was a heat of the moment type thing and not something that was planned, so we can find him, get him home to his parents. So how beat up was he? Was he really bad? You wore him out, didn't you?
His face got swollen.
Yeah.
I remember that.
How long did you beat up on him?
Good, I'd say 10, 15 minutes.
10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a long time. He was pretty mad, weren't you?
Well, it wasn't like continuous, constant hitting. It was like hitting and then like a little pause and then hitting.
Did you hit him with anything else?
No, just my hands. You could look around my car, you could look at my apartment, but I didn't use anything else except myself.
Being there for 10 to 15 minutes of doing this, I think you would know, because you're a pretty smart guy, whether or not he was going to survive or not. Is it possible he crawled out, or you think he should be right where you left him?
I remember, like, I left him. Like, I remember, I didn't do continuous, constant, strong bursts of punches because I wasn't aiming to kill him. I was just aiming to hurt him. And I remember, like, once I left him, like, he was barely breathing, but he was still breathing, and he looked like he couldn't move, but it looked like he looked okay in a way. And
I guess what I'm asking you is, he was unconscious, right? Semi-unconscious.
You think we're in the right place, or you don't know? It was either here or the next one over. Because I remember I got into a place and I was like, it has to be somewhere where, like, no one will be able to, like, get in the way or try and break us up. In a way, I felt like he was trying to replace me. In a way. In another way, I was just tired of like everything. And he was just like an outlet for me. Like, he wasn't the reason for everything happening, but he was like the outlet I had.
Okay.
For sure, one thing, this would make for a great Shakespeare novel.
Pedro, you're a nut.
10 days after Christian's disappearance, police interviewed Rosa again. They revealed information about her dear friend Pedro that would shock and rattle Rosa to the core.
You ever seen him draw in a journal?
Pedro? Yeah. He has a sketchbook, and he drew, he wrote poems, he wrote, like, I guess, diary entries, stuff like that.
Yeah. Would it surprise you to know that he wrote a plan
Of this?
what he was going to do with
It would surprise me.
Christian?
It would surprise me. Yes.
Would it surprise you that your name is mentioned in it?
You're kidding.
No.
It would surprise me.
No. It's true.
Are you... Okay. Okay. What did it say?
About meeting him, how to get an alibi, how to plan it for another day if he can't get Christian off campus, try to offer to take him somewhere to eat that's not on the campus that he doesn't have access to, going back to your place and staying at least an hour with the stuff well hidden in the back of his vehicle so he could establish an alibi.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm about to have a breakdown. I'm completely honest.
Do you want some fresh air, some water? Or...
I'd like some fresh air.
Yeah. Straight out that door.
Police uncovered a significant amount of evidence against Pedro during their investigation. A search of his room revealed Christian's backpack hidden inside another bag that was packed inside a suitcase. Security footage from the home improvement store Lowe's revealed that Pedro bought a shovel. It is believed he used that to bury Christian. The app usage log on Pedro's cell phone showed that he used the flashlight for 48 minutes between 11 p.m. and midnight, presumably to light the area where he dug Christian's grave. He was then caught on camera at a car wash around 1:30 a.m. 3 weeks after the fateful meeting Christian had with Pedro, foragers searching for jasmine vines in a wooded area about 60 miles outside of Gainesville smelled the unmistakable odor of decomposition. They thought it was wafting over from a dead deer who may have run away after a hunter shot it. They hoped they could retrieve and sell the antlers. But when they got closer, they realized it was not a deer at all, and immediately called the police to report their discovery. The body turned out to be that of Christian Aguilar. By the time this case went to trial in 2014, Pedro was 20 years old. The only witness testifying in his defense was Pedro himself. It is rare for defendants to testify in their own criminal cases because of the high risk of self-incrimination, usually outweighing the benefits. Pedro's cellmate in jail was a man named Michael Angelo, an interesting handle given Pedro's artistic bent. Michael Angelo gave chilling testimony about the time he spent with Pedro. Prosecutors didn't even try to whitewash Angelo's image. The Crips gang member and 9-time convicted felon took the stand still wearing his inmate garb. Prison snitches are notoriously unreliable because they usually receive concessions in exchange for their testimony. Michael Angelo was no different. His cooperation was part of a plea deal for his criminal charges. But his credibility was bolstered because he told police where Pedro had hidden the shovel he used to dig the hole where he buried Christian. Angelo said that Pedro tried to enlist him to get someone on the outside to retrieve the shovel and commit a copycat murder to draw suspicions away from him. Police found the shovel right where Michael Angelo said it was, under a walkway at the Spyglass Apartments in Gainesville, where Pedro had lived for the few weeks before the murder. Michael Angelo said Pedro cried frequently when they were in the cell together. Pedro asked him for his shoelaces so he could end his life and a pencil to write a note. I'm a monster for having hurt Chris the way I did, and monsters shouldn't exist in this world.
I think originally he said that he was going to try to poison him with a mixture of sleeping pills and pesticide and mixed with soda or something, I guess soda. And his backup plan was to have a knife, to cut his throat in case it didn't work. I'm not sure what they were talking about or anything, but he got out he had to find something in the back seat, and he told me that when he was back there, that he basically put a moving strap around the kid's neck and braced himself against the seat, and he said that he remembers watching the clock on the radio, and said it took 13 minutes for the kid to I guess die. After he had got back in the driver's seat and he was, I guess riding around to dispose of the body, that it was making a sound like, and that's the reason that he held on to the driving strap while he was riding around, because it freaked him out.
Pedro was found guilty on all 7 charges, including first-degree murder, kidnapping, false imprisonment, poisoning, improper transportation of human remains, giving false information to law enforcement in a missing persons case, tampering with evidence, and providing false reports to the police. He received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He is currently in the custody of the Florida Department of Corrections and is currently serving his sentence in the Okeechobee Correctional Institution. If you found this case compelling, don't forget to like the video, comment down below, and give us your take on it. And please subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 1 million, and we'd love to have you along. Also, hit the notification bell to know when we're revealing a new shocking case. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's lurking in the shadows.